Why would it work if you, for example, supposing you charged somebody with assault on an elderly person and then added a hate allegation as well, a hate charge, because you were able to prove that they picked on that person because they were elderly and frail?
Well, actually, you know, Richard, I want a little bit more than what you've actually said.
All right.
I would like to see criminal activity against older people treated in the same way as domestic abuse or by people who are motivated by prejudice or discrimination. Now, in order to do that, one would have to get some kind of sentencing uplift, because at the moment, the law is such that age can't be taken as a consideration when a sentence is handed out. So, but if you make it a different kind of category, and the category I'm in favour of is an aggravated offence, the person who's prosecuting can then take age into account and give a higher sentence.
Yes.
At the moment, sentences are really silly for you know, offences against old people.
So, in other words, if I'm a mugger and I go to a bus stop and I punch a 25-year-old man in the face and take his wallet and I get caught, I might get, say, 6 months in prison. If I actually choose the person standing next to him, who's a man of, say, 85 and frail, do exactly the same thing, punch him in the face and take his wallet, I wouldn't get a higher sentence.
No, you wouldn't.
I'd get exactly the same sentence as I would have got if it was a young man.
Absolutely,
you've got a fluctuation of sentences. I mean, I think under Section 18 and 20 of the law that counts, so you've got Section 18 where they can actually get life imprisonment if they can prove intent. But if there's no intent, then it's a maximum of 5 years.
Because at the moment, with a hate crime, something has to sort of have been said at the time. So somebody needs to say something racist or something, and therefore it's treated as a hate crime on top of the crime that's been committed. How do you ever prove that it's age-related?
Well, there's a survey that was done last year, and 95% of people who responded to that believe that old people are being targeted because of their physical frailty and their mental vulnerability. Now, that's a targeted...
Yeah, but you just said it.
Let's ask you the question.
You just said it.
Don't you think elderly people do need more protection?
They are protected under the law.
No, but what I mean is, if a mugger or a violent criminal knew that they were going to get a stiffer sentence because they deliberately selected an old person as their target, maybe that would afford protection and they wouldn't attack.
Richard, that's exactly the point.
Miriam, we've talked a lot. And you just said it. I mean, you could get a stiffer sentence. I don't see any point in that. And the CPS can apply for a sentence uplift. But I think the point is, where do you draw the line? What is age? You know, you can get vulnerable people at 40. I'm a pensioner. I'd take someone on if they attack me. And, you know, some people wouldn't. So where do you draw the line?
I'm very glad that
that's a good point. Where do you draw the line?
I'm very glad that Antony is assertive enough to take somebody on, but there are an awful lot of people in our age group, we're both about the same, that couldn't do that.
But it's a good question, though. Where do you draw the line?
Well, I'll tell you what means a lot to me is the numbers, Richard. We know that there are 1 million older people subject to abusive crimes. And we know that 350,000 of those get to a court. But an awful lot don't, because old people are too afraid to report.
All right, but can you just deal with that point he's made? Because I think a lot of people will be picking up on that. I'm 62, and if somebody were to mug me on the way back to the car park after the programme, I'd be a bit offended, to be honest with you, if that crime was classed as a hate crime because I'm over 60.
Yeah, it's rather patronising, really. I mean, I think a lot of older people do not want to be bracketed, you know? I mean, I think the more you live life, the more you enjoy life.
So back to that point, where do you draw the line in terms of age?
Well,
how do you draw the line?
Well, the statistics that we have are in people over 65. And that is...
That's the line.
That would be the line. Now, the thing about it, Richard, is that this demographic, people over 65... is a big demographic, and it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
True.
That 20% of our whole population is over 65, and it's going to be 25% in a short time. And those people need protection because they're being targeted.
Hate crimes are about prejudice and hostility. You can, you know, racial, religious, they're categories. old isn't a category. You're picking on old people because they're vulnerable, because they're weak, and you're a coward.
And why
you're
not?
a coward.
No, but why why don't we support people who are weak and vulnerable?
We do support them, but
we
there's
don't
got to be
support them enough.
Yeah, but we don't support them in so many ways, like dignity. We don't give old age people. We neglect them in homes.
I think this would be a mark of respect rather than eroding the respect.
But the law covers it. The law covers it. If it's proved with intent, a judge can sentence up to life.
I think I'm with you, Miriam, actually. I think even if it's an imperfect means to an end, and it is an imperfect means to an end, and it is difficult to enforce and quite hard to prove, I would have thought, here and there, but it's worth a try because elderly people need our protection. But they just do.
Criminals have grandparents. They don't hate their grandparents more enough. So when you're bringing into a
it's
category...
how you prove it, I guess.
How you prove you hate old people.
Would it just be something that was written in a statute book and it never was convicted? You
Well,
know,
of
you
course
could never
not.
convict anybody on it.
It's up to
What's
the
the point
judgment
of it being a symbol?
It's up to the judgment of the prosecutor, but the prosecutor needs more freedom in order to give
quite easy to
tougher
argue
sentences.
against it, I think, if you were a barrister.
Yeah.
You could,
but if you were
test it.
saying, I think it's a hate crime against because of the age, you could easily
They
say,
don't
well...
hate old people, they're picking on them because they're old.
You both alluded to your ages. You're both looking great, I have to say.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And you just
Well.
had a taller.
I know, well, you know, we've got to keep young.
You were out fishing, were you?
I'd hate to be put in that bracket of being old.